Hi everyone, it is May 24, 2020. I want to start by telling you, informing you, letting you know that President Trump and Cheryl Atkinson, who has an exclusive interview with the president is talking about how he has a chance to break through the deep state. That's right. Oh, he's going full Q, our president. If it keeps going the way it's going, I have a chance to break the deep state. It's a vicious group of people. Well, this, no doubt, will get an awful lot of those Trump supporters and Q supporters, all fired up. Remember, we are at the end stage. The end stage. And that he comes out and he's going to be... He's been playing his base forever. You have to watch what he does. You have to listen to what he says. And then do research to find out if he is lying. I have a whole lot of videos on my Trump playlist that provide you evidence that he is lying. He is a Wall Street, stock market, Goldman Sachs man. He is swamp all the way. And there's an awful lot of evidence out there that gives you the proof. I'll link below to this Trump's corporate cabinet. How Trump turned over the U.S. government to corporate insiders. It wasn't just Trump, it was Obama. It's been going on and on. It was obvious in the 1980s, the early 1980s, that our government was thoroughly corrupt. It had become fascist in terms of corporations merging with government and taking over the power of government. And now, well, we're at the end stage. All right. I'll just read it. My husband flew from Louisiana to Florida for work today. Without notice, he was not told any of this getting on the plane. Okay. Getting on the plane. So he was basically forced to sign. Fine up to 500 or 60 days of imprisonment. Did you see the small paragraph below? The state health officer and surgeon general can order any individual to be examined, tested, vaccinated, treated, isolated, or quarantined. So, 'tis true. You get on a plane to fly to another state and you can't get off without signing your life away. And here is the document that person was referring to. COVID-19 Department of Health mandatory self-isolation airport travel. Florida Health. And I'll read what it says at the end, what you are signing. Your declaration. By signing this, is it your declaration? Because you just have to get off the plane. So the only way that you can get off the plane is by signing it. It's forced, don't you think? Coercion? Okay. The reason why I bring this up is because there's a whole lot of ways that they can mandate vaccines. So you hear Trump talking about, oh, we're going to have millions and millions of vaccines by the end of the year, and the military is going to be dispersing these vaccines. And he says, look, we have these vaccines, for people who want them. Some people don't want them. Does that mean that you will have a choice? Will you be able to say no? Okay, when people believe liars, especially when those liars are in positions of great power, well, fools errand, fools walk through life. But unfortunately, they carry a whole lot of us along with them because it is the majority. Whether Trump mandates it, and he can tell you, he continues to tell you, oh, I'm fighting the deep state, I'm fighting the deep state. But states mandate it, and then you have more people supporting Trump because he says that, hey, I didn't mandate it. It just pits all of us against one another. And Trump is really, as far as I'm concerned, not a brilliant manipulator, because I see right through everything that he does. It's right out in the open. But for those who don't see, or those who so want hope or so want to believe that someone's going to fix it, well, they put all their hope into one guy. And they get disappointed over and over again. Or they're not disappointed. They just claim it's so-and-so that did it, not Trump. I'm still behind Trump. Can't you see? He's fighting for us. No, he is not fighting for us. And if you take a look at the evidence, I have a Trump playlist. You take a look at who he has appointed. You take a look at who he associates himself with. Then you should, at the very least, take a step back and look at everything objectively. And don't throw in your subjective support for a guy who is a psychopathic liar. I understand that any individual in my family who violates the self-isolation or self-quarantine by failing to remain within the confines of the address I provided for my stay in Florida for the mandatory length of time can be subject to prosecution under sections 252.50 or 381.00315, section 6, Florida statutes, which if convicted is punishable up to 60 days imprisonment, a fine not more than $500 or both. I have made a truthful declaration. Have you really? You just want to get off the friggin' plane. Well, this is control up the wazoo, pursuant to Executive Order 20-80 and the Florida Department of Health Declaration of Public Health Emergency. The state health officer and surgeon general can order any individual to be examined, tested, vaccinated, treated, isolated, or quarantined for COVID-19. Any isolation or quarantine order issued pursuant to Section 318.00315 Florida statutes shall be enforceable by injunction filed in a Florida Circuit Court. Failure to follow any isolation or quarantine order by the Florida Department of Health is a second-degree misdemeanor. Failure to fill out this form is a second-degree misdemeanor. Wow. Okay, you're a criminal. You are a criminal unless you sign your John Hancock to this document stating I have made a truthful declaration. Well, the truthful declaration is up above. All of the names and the addresses and flight numbers and yeah. Well, Even if you don't want to be a snitch, you're kind of forced into being a snitch, aren't you? Life today. Also want to thank a subscriber who sent this along to me. You know those contact tracing apps? They're on your phone already. So what do they say about these contact tracing apps? That it's voluntary? All you have to do is get the app. It's voluntary. Apple releases iOS 13.5 with COVID-19 contact tracing feature and Face ID improvements. It's the exposure notification API. And, excuse me, it includes an update enabling contact tracing for iPhone and Android phone owners alike, Google and Apple. Updates include bug fixes, improvements, and perhaps most notably, changes to how Face ID works when iPhone owners are wearing a face mask along with the COVID-19 contact tracing feature. Oh, along with? How so subtly do they bring that in? Most notably is how Face ID works because people are wearing masks. It's hard to recognize, that facial recognition is having a slight problem with all those masks. But the most notable feature is COVID-19 contact tracing, which, the update, it's available right now. They update your phone, and you can install it by going to Settings, then General, then Software Update, and follow the prompts. Once installed, Face ID will immediately display your PIN code prompt after it fails to recognize your face because you're wearing a mask. The new COVID exposure notification. So many people have no clue and don't want to know. They become hostile if you try to tell them this is not a good thing. The feature is part of Apple and Google's previously announced partnership that enables a contact tracing API for health officials to build apps and use to fight the spread of COVID-19. It provides an anonymous way to alert others if you come in contact with whomever you come in contact with over 14 days, should you contract COVID-19 and test positive, as well as a means for you to be alerted if someone you've been in contact with has tested positive. So think about the exponential reach of contact tracing. Woof! It's huge. If you have been someone who came in contact with, and it could be a complete stranger, and you don't get to know who it is, by the way, well, wow, just this alone has enormous power over you. So you'll be contacted, you'll be told to quarantine for 14 days, self-isolate. If you can't do that in your own home, due to how many people you live with and how many bathrooms you have, you'll be removed from your home. Hey, how many single moms are out there? How many single moms that have children and unfortunately you have one bathroom? They'll remove you, perhaps remove your children. Well, if they remove you because you can't self-isolate because you have one bathroom, what happens to your children? This is so draconian, so Orwellian, so evil, it's beyond. But when you think about the exponential reach Okay, contact tracing. Oh, so you walk past somebody who has COVID. Now the contact tracers contact you. You've got to self-isolate. And then all the people that you have crossed along the way, well, then everybody's going to be self-isolating from this. That's essentially what's going to be happening. It's so ludicrous, but it's so obvious that they are using it for another reason. Perhaps it's not COVID-19. Perhaps it's, well, to acclimate the public to being traced. To acclimate the public to getting used to never having a say about your own life. Anybody who oh boy, get rid of your smartphones and iPhones. Go for the flip phone, because you know what? It's going to be very hard to find those flip phones that I get laughed at for using. I don't care. Laugh all you want. There's no way I'm getting a smartphone or an iPhone. I'm not interested in being listened to, being spied on, and being tracked with that GPS. Now, until you install an approved app from a public health authority, the feature will remain off. Really? Do you believe that? They're including this contact tracing app in your updates for your cell phones. GPS. When you turn it off, do you think it's off? Really? You're that naive? Okay. It just gets a little frustrating when it becomes more and more clear every single day that we have a tyrannical takeover and hardly anybody sees it. A whole lot of people don't want to see it. A whole lot of people don't care. And it's, yeah. All right. The next video, I'm not going to include this now. The next video, Moderna's COVID-19. You need to know about the connections with Bill Gates, DARPA, CRISPR, the gene editing, the corruption, and what they're putting in these vaccines. It's not good. But I'll also go into insects and what is in our food. What do you think? A whole lot of our foods are CRISPR foods. All right, I'll link to everything below. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you have a great day. And I'll see you in the next video.